Welcome to episode 90 of Meet the GIMP. I want to sell something on eBay, and I want to sell this, I don't know the English name. It's a measurement instrument for calibrating the carburetors in a motorcycle. And I found that it's a relic from my motorcycle times a long time ago. So I want to sell this on eBay. And for making a good eBay image, you need a light tent. This here is a special light tent on a special height adjustable table. Well, the table is an ironing board, and this light tent is a dirty laundry box collector from IKEA. It had cost me about €3.50, so it's not that bad. On this side here you see a reflector. You can take something white, a bed sheet would work, or you could take for example a styrofoam board or so. I have here a Lestolite reflector. In this special made light tent I have a sheet of paper which runs up in the background. Well, has some creases now here, but okay, not so important. And of course I need a flash. Here I have a wireless controlled Nikon flash, and I'll put it up on the left side in my bookcase. So now the flash hits this area here of my light tent, and the light bounces off from here, and I hope to get a nice exposure. Let's look. I've exposed my image in a way that I have no overexposed stuff in here. And now let's look at the images. And here is my image opened in GIMP. And as you can see here in the histogram, let me switch this to linear, we have nothing really black, and here some dark stuff, I assume here the tubes, then here a peak and a bright peak here, and I think this is the paper and the dial here, and this will be the shadow, I think, and the metal here. Well, the shadow, I hadn't seen that. I actually don't know just now where the shadow came. They can't reproduce it because I have already put the stuff away. So, well, I have to cope with this. It's a real-world challenge. I have shot in a way that this here is not pure white. I want to get it pure white in my final image, but for having room for avoiding in the dial here blown out stuff, blown out spots, I choose to underexpose this a little bit. And you see here, I checked on the histogram with the camera that I actually have no really underexposed pixels. Before I start to tweak this image, I simply double the layer to have a copy. This here is my original. I leave this as it is now, and I take this here. And I want to show you something. That's what that was pointed out in the forum some days ago. I think by Matthias, but if not by Matthias, sorry to who has pointed it out. And that is the Levels tool can talk with the Curve tool. The Levels tool is, as the Curve tools, a translator between the light or the values that come into the image and what goes out. You have the range of output levels, and this goes from 0 to 255. and that is okay. In the final image I want to have black and I want to have white. But I could just get these here together and just have a very low contrast image which has no real black but this gray, and no real white but this here. So we pull this gain back. I could also click here on reset, and here I have the input levels with with a histogram in it. And here I can slide the black point. This will be translated to black here. So everything that is 11 and below will be 0 in the final image. And I can move the white level, and everything that is 219 and above will be white in my final image. Also, I can move around the midtone slider here, and so I can change the point where and so I can set the point where in the original the medium gray of this here should stay. I can move this up to get everything darker, down, and well, I think I should leave it somewhere in the middle. Let me move this a little bit down, and I think I start to burn out here some stuff. Now I have to make this image a little bit brighter, because I want to have a spotless white background here and not this gray. But I want to keep a little bit of definition here in the white. So let's see what we can do about this. I choose the Levels tool for doing this. Click onto it, and here is the Levels tool. And here I can set the black point and the white point, and set the middle gray value here, and make this image a bit lighter or a bit darker. And I think there is a little bit of a difficulty between the scale here and these tubes. I like this here for the tubes. But here you see the constraints of the limits of this tool. You can't really do very much with it. But there's a nice button here, edit these settings as a curve, or as curves. This works only if you have used these sliders here, not if you have used here auto and so on. I don't know why this is, but I didn't get it right with this method. Okay, now these values have been translated into a curve, and I have to confess I'm way more familiar here with a curve as with the Levels tool. So you know that the curve tool is there, the Levels tool is there, and I stay with the curves tool. So let's make this a little bit darker here on the bottom, and I think this was too much. Now let's look here. We are here. This is still not blown out, and this is also not blown out. We can work on this here a little bit later. I don't think this is really good. Perhaps I should go up here a bit, correct this a bit. Now it has a nice texture. Well, with the curves tool you can play around and fix segment for segment, and this is not possible with the levels tool. So, okay, this was it with adjusting the levels, and I just click here on it. Now let me look at the scale. If we have to do something for the scale, a little bit more definition would be nice, wouldn't it? Let's look at the bottom here. Okay, there is not that much contrast in it, but of course I can enhance that a bit. I just double this and say overlay, and now you see here this is a lot harsher, and I can adjust. I like this effect here for this area in the image, but I think it's a bit strong for this area and much too strong for the tubes. If you look here, this is way better for the tubes. And for that I need a layer mask. And now I just click here and say add a layer mask, and I want to have this layer mask in black, and in black it's fully transparent, and now you see it has vanished. But now I take a brush and switch to white color with X, switching the colors, and I take a soft brush and make it fairly big. And now I start to paint over here. And you see this comes out a lot better. I should have plugged in my tablet. Haven't done that up to yet. I hope you can see this in the image, in the compressed video. Let's zoom in, then you can see the difference. This here is after painting on the layer mask. It's really crisp. And this is without having been painted on. You see here, I hope you see how this clears up. Perhaps here it has been a little bit too much. Well, it's better. I just switch with X between painting in white and painting in black. So I can reverse the effect and make this a little bit okay. Let's give some attention here to this. Is too much. This was way too much, so I go to my paintbrush and say opacity 40%, and now I can gradually paint over here and give this brass a little bit more pop. The last thing to do is to get a really smooth white background for this image, and of course this is a problem with this. I just add a new layer and make that layer white. It sits on top of this. I just reduce the opacity, and now I add a layer mask to this layer. This layer mask is white, it should show everything. And now I can paint with black and full opacity. Now I can paint with black here. Well, let's fill this with black before. So the free select tool, just fill the area that has to be in this without question. And okay, this, and now I fill this here with black. And now I just paint over the borders. I have to remove the selection. Okay. Pulling up the opacity, and now you see we have a we have a problem here with the background, but this will be solved in just a moment. This needs some fine-tuning here. I just paint from the inside out. I think this thing will bring me €5 or so, and so it's simply mad to do such an amount of work with this image. But I wanted to show you how such an image can be done. Perhaps I should make the background a little bit lighter. Haven't heard is that I have been interrupted by a series of phone calls while doing this work here. Okay, perhaps you have noticed it that I was somewhere not as consistent or have lost track of such stuff. If so, I'm sorry about it. I try to cut out every distraction there is. Let's wrap this up. I started with taking an image with a light tint. This light tint gives light from all angles, and well, I had it improvised, but of course you can buy a light tint and get some more fancier flashes. And then I post-processed the image. This was the original. I made a copy of that to keep it as it was, and here I adjusted the curves. Perhaps I should have done this a little bit brighter to avoid the work I've just done. To get a little bit more pop into this area and this one here, I just doubled the layer and added a layer mask, which set it to overlay mode here, and painted on the areas that I wanted to have more contrast in them. And then finally I added a white layer, which makes my image really white, except for some space here, which should be painted over, I think. And then finally we have a layer which makes a perfectly white background for all the areas of the image that need it. I could have made this one a little bit brighter to get the differences a little bit less. So perhaps I should have seen to a real white background here. And now this image is nearly ready. I don't think, well, I think I should crop it a little bit, and just to avoid this white border around it. Now it's a matter of taste how much room you leave here. Well, this is okay. And now I just save this image as a JPEG image and lose all this stuff here. I don't need that again. And I'll post this to my eBay auction of this nice tool here. And perhaps I can tell you then how much money I've got for this. Of course, you can download this image here, this processed image, and the original JPEG at meetthegimp.org. It's just below the link to this video on top of the page. And this was it for this week. I'll be back next Tuesday with another episode of Meet the GIMP, and up to then you can comment on this episode and a lot of other stuff in the forum at forum.meetthegimp.org, or write a comment in the blog for this episode here at meetthegimp.org. And of course you can also write me an email at info@meetthegimp.org. Goodbye.
photocastnetwork.com, your photography resource in the potosphere. photocastnetwork.com